And we are live. This is Stephen in wonderful Wiltshire, and we're live on YouTube and LinkedIn. Hello, if you're watching live there or catching the replay. And hello to the Be Live Streamers group, which is the primary focus of today's broadcast, as we talk about finding guests for your broadcast. This is a Be Live broadcast, and Be Live is quite probably the best broadcasting software that you can use. Okay, just waiting for the countdown clock as we actually go live in different places with different connection times, and then we can commence. If you've got any questions about finding guests or any suggestions about where we can find guests, then please do comment, and I'll show you your comments on screen. Hello and welcome to our first viewer, and we have 6 seconds to go, so the countdown has worked because I can go live now. I've got a message on my phone then to say I'm live. Well, I am live. Hello, this is Stephen, and welcome to the show. And today's show is all about finding guests for your broadcasts. Now, I've been quite fortunate over the years. I've interviewed many people from all around the globe, and live video is the best medium to do that. And it's exciting because when you do a solo show, it's just you. When you do a guest show with one or more guests, then that mixes it up, not just for you, but for your audience. And it's just an amazing experience to talk to people. And the thing is, the first thing I'm going to say is that you can have anybody as your guest. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody and ask them to be a guest on your live broadcast. You might be surprised. They might say yes. Even A-listers have been known to respond. And I'll show you a technique to actually get people involved and to get people volunteering to be guests on your show. In fact, twice a year, I do a series of 6 to 8 shows where I interview people who have come across my path in the previous year. But I think first thing you've got to do before you even invite a guest is decide the broadcast theme. And this is the first step, is decide what the broadcast is going to be about. What's the topic going to be about? Now, it should be germane to something that you do or something that you're interested in. That's the key, that this is your opportunity to actually meet new people in your own industry and ask them questions and learn. I know my friend Marco Novo interviews people specifically because he wants to know what they know. And that's the key to interviewing, is to actually learn. So that's the why to conduct interviews, is basically to get people that you're interested in, talking about topics that you're interested in. During the course of the interview, of course, what you want to do is discover more about the person. Just a minute. Let's try and get that on screen in one go. Discover more about the person. And I'm going to put it like that. And we should be able to read it all at one go. Okay, so to discover more about the person themselves. We all have backstories. We all have stories to tell. And in some cases, we know what a person does, but we don't know where they're from or where they came from. So we want to discover more about the person. We want to encourage them to tell their personal stories. And we all have things that we love talking about. And if you've chosen the topic correctly, then they'll be happy to talk about it. As I just hinted at a moment ago, it's also to discover more about the topic. I'm interested in what people do and why they do it. And I want them to share their expertise, not just with me, but with the audience. So discover more about the topic. And the other thing is that doing live interviews and having guests on your show is building your network. Live video is the prime way of building your network. Because if you have a show, remember on Be Live, we can have 8 people on screen at the same time. You can bring in up to 7 guests and have a roundtable discussion on a theme and topic you've already set, and people get to know each other. Yeah. So you're networking with the seven are networking with each other. So live video helps to build your network and the network of people watching. And hello to people watching on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. So building your network, great way of doing it. And also building your brand. Now, this is one of the prime benefits of actually having guests and interviewing people, is that when people watch you, they connect you with that individual or individuals. And doing an interview show means that their expertise sort of rubs off on you, and you become known as somebody who knows something about the topic that your guest is talking about. Because the assumption is that if you're interviewing somebody, then your guest will know what they're talking about, and you're listening at the same time as everybody else and learning. But the connection has been made. The connection that Gary Vee, if you ever get to interview Gary Vee, is made. But the prime thing is that when you do a guest show, you're actually inviting people to tell their stories. Live video is all about telling stories, our own stories. And if we've got guests, our guest stories, because it's by telling stories that we actually get across our expertise, that we teach people how they can actually benefit, how we can solve their problems. And I'll come to the questions you should ask your guest in a minute. But this is just laying the backdrop of why you're doing this. And you're doing this to build your network, build your brand, and to discover more about the topic. Yeah, those are reasons for actually doing and having guests. I mean, you can do a solo show. I mean, I do 5 solo shows a week, 2 hours at a time, and I just talk. But it's always more interesting when you have guests. Now, guests or co-hosts. My co-host next Monday is my good friend Nick Wood, and there is a sort of chemistry when you're actually doing a live broadcast between 2 or more people, and that shines through the screen and gets people involved. And Nick and I have been broadcasting together for quite a while now, got to know each other, know, like, and trust each other for starters, and we can share our expertise on Amazon Live, and people do get involved. Right. And this is basically where we came in, because this is the topic of today's broadcast, which is finding guests for your broadcast. And finding guests, step-by-step process. It's not difficult. It just requires persistence and patience. And you can draw people into your circle and get them to be your guests. So how to make contact and who to contact? Well, the first port of call, as my good friend Linda Sunshine West says, is just ask. Linda is not afraid to ask people for an interview. Anywhere, anytime, on a red carpet, anywhere, Linda will ask people for interviews. If you don't ask, you don't get. We know that to be true, and it's very true in live broadcasting. If you want to interview somebody, just ask them in a polite way. Say you've got a broadcast, and this is the topic of your broadcast, and would they be interested in joining you? Now, if you've got a regular time slot, then you give them the regular time slot. If, however, as often happens with me, you're in different time zones, then give people a choice of times, or actually get them to suggest the time. So asking is the first one. Just ask. Yeah, don't need to do anything more than that. But a planned approach to finding guests is to actually follow people on social media. And I've got contacts around the globe from live video who I've made a connection with on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, more recently. And those connections are all potential guests. Yeah. And I got 5,000 contacts on Facebook. Each one of those potential guests, I worked it out. It would take me years to interview everybody. So that's not a possibility. So as we said earlier, you decide on a theme for your broadcast, and then you find the people who fit that theme. But do follow people on social media. That's the first step. Trying to ask somebody you're not connected to is always difficult. It's like cold calling. What you want to be able to do is for them to actually know who you are. So follow is the first step. Second step is to actually comment on the social media posts. This is a question of actually getting involved with them before you ask them. Yeah, we all do. Well, they do videos, they do posts, they make comments. You can reply to a comment. Get involved, get your name known. Okay, so that when it comes to it, people will respond to you because they know who you are, which leads me to my first tip, which is not even in my list of things that you need to do. First of all, if you're going to ask somebody to join you as a guest, they need to know who you are. In order to know who you are, all your social media profiles need to be up to date. If you've got an out-of-date profile, which doesn't show that you're actually doing interviews or guest shows, then they're going to take one look at your profile and think, okay. And it's always good to actually have samples of your work that you can show them. So when I do the interviews, I do the first two with people I know well, and then I use those recorded interviews to actually say, I would like to interview, this is a sample of my work. Yeah, being able to show somebody exactly how you could conduct an interview is golden, because it actually happened. You actually did it. You actually talked to those guests. So follow on social media, comment. Okay, now where do you start? Okay, who should you have as a guest? Well, the first port of call is friends. Okay, we all have friends, we all have connections on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. People in your inner circle will come on as a guest because they already know you. You don't have to reach out and describe to them who you are. I just want to change that. That's not working, is it? Let's go here, back to here, and here. Okay. So friends are your first port of call because they know who you are. You don't have to get over that hurdle. And if they're speaking to a topic that you're interested in, then you can just invite them to be a guest. Now, in terms of having guest shows, what you should do, and what I'm doing at the moment, what I'm actively doing at the moment, is I'm doing a series of interviews about live selling. And I've interviewed Adair Palmer, and I've interviewed Grant Saunders. Just as a note, Grant Saunders and I will be live in the group tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern when I'm the guest. Okay. Now, how that came about is simple and straightforward. Grant and I are all both Amazon insiders. We broadcast on Amazon Live. We broadcast for Be Live. We've got to know each other. So when Grant asked me to be a guest on his show, as a friend, simple and straightforward. So asking your friends, your friends have expertise that you don't have. They want to share it. They want the world to know about their latest project, their latest book, their latest video. It's just like back when we used to have chat shows. We still do, but not as many as we used to. Chat shows used to be everywhere. So friends is the first place you actually find people to be guests on your show. And you can only ask. There's only two possible answers, or yes or no. If they say yes, you can make arrangements. If they say no, then you make a note and perhaps ask them again later when you've got a couple of shows under your belt. Now, this is key. As well as asking your friends to be on your broadcast, you can ask your friends, do you know anybody who would like to be interviewed as a guest on this topic? Friends of friends. And this widens your network exponentially. With 5,000 friends on Facebook, you've got a network of tens of thousands. And everybody knows somebody who wants to talk and is happy to be on camera. So friends of friends is a way to go and way to get people involved, because if they don't want to be on camera themselves, because we started with friends, then you can ask about their friends and invite them to be on the broadcast. Okay, now the next one, your contacts on Facebook. Okay, I've no doubt that you all have a lot of contacts on Facebook who have got expertise which you could share with the world. So the first place I would look is to go to your own Facebook profile, go to your contacts, and just scan down the list of contacts you've got on Facebook. Contacts are different. Some contacts may be friends. Other contacts are simply contacts. Then they're not in your inner circle. These are people in your outer circle. And you can scan the list of people you know on Facebook that you're connected with and approach them. Yeah. Another area is Facebook groups. Now, groups are usually private, and the people in the group all have one thing in common. That's an interest in the group's theme or topic. So you have a connection with them already. If you're going to ask people in a group, you could just put up a post and say, I'm doing a series of shows with guests. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, make sure you've got a show card, make sure you've got a description of the broadcast itself, much information as you can. So day, time, so people know when you're asking for, and post in Facebook groups. The other thing is, as I said earlier, if you become proactive and you start to work within the group, if you post within the group, if you answer questions and comments within the group, if you get involved, then you'll find guests. You'll find people that you make a connection with, people who you want to get to know more about. You want to ask them who they are, where they are, what they do, and how they can help people. Facebook groups is a place, because they're all different topics, and some topics will be of interest to you. In fact, you want to join the group if they weren't. So do ask for people in the group to join you. If your topic is a business topic, then LinkedIn is the place to go. And again, you can post on your own profile. You can post examples of your shows on your own profile, and then you can join on LinkedIn related groups on LinkedIn. Now, groups are a thing on LinkedIn just as on Facebook, but the emphasis is on business rather than social networking. And you can become known. Yeah, people will get to know you. They'll visit your profile, and the more that you do, the more chance you have of getting a guest. One of the biggest problems, and we're all guilty of this, one of the biggest problems that we have is that we read more than we like and we comment. And when we read, we're not actually involved with the person who wrote the post, the topic. Yeah. There was a time when we saw a post and we would comment on it. That seems to have changed now. Yeah. People don't comment as much as they used to. So you can stand out simply by getting involved, by commenting on people's posts, by asking questions, by showing that you're interested. And that's true on LinkedIn as it is on Facebook. Okay, LinkedIn, more business orientated. And if you've got a business broadcast, then ask on LinkedIn, ask on your profile, do a video which asks for guests and reach out and get your friends to share it. Okay, and you actually build up then a list of people who you'd like to interview on LinkedIn. And the key then is, as always, key to all this, and I can see people coming and going. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully I've got sound. Key to all this is just ask. Okay. If you don't ask, then you will never, ever reach the people you need. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do at the moment is I'm going to hide that. I'm going to put that on screen and just take out, do a slight adjustment. Okay. And I'm coming back now. Right. So LinkedIn is a place where you can actually find guests. Okay. Another place you can find guests is Twitter. Now, Twitter, LinkedIn, you've got your contacts list. Scan down your contacts on LinkedIn. If somebody fits what you're looking for, then just reach out and ask. A message saying, I'm running a series of shows with guests. I'd love you to join me. I do it on this day, this time. Just send it out. And that it can be an effective way of doing things. Twitter. Twitter is another place where you can actually find guests. Okay. One of the best things to do, if you have the time, is there's still ongoing Twitter chats, which take place at a regular time, usually last for 60 minutes. Usually there are questions asked during the hour. And if you answer the questions, then you're becoming involved again. And it's this being involved that's important. Yeah. If you take part in a Twitter chat and you just read the tweets, nothing will happen. If you take part in a Twitter chat, retweet some tweets, make comments of your own, get really involved, then you'll get to know people, and you get to know people you can actually interview. This may sound crazy because YouTube's not primarily known as a network. It is a video site. People go to YouTube to actually watch video, but you're not alone. That's what people do. And the reason that we go to YouTube is that if we want to know how to do something, we go to the search bar on YouTube, the world's second largest search engine. We key in a phrase and it comes up with a list of videos about the topic. Okay, so that's answering the question, how do I? But your question is, who could I interview? And the way to do that is to use the search box on YouTube and search for the topics you're interested in. And you'll then get videos coming up of people who are talking about those topics. So from that, you can build a list of people you'd like to interview. And then you can either reach out to them on YouTube by making a comment on a video. That's simple and straightforward to do, already exists. You don't need to do anything extra. I enjoyed this video. I'd like to talk with you. Can we have a chat? Or if you dig into it, you can get their email address. You can send them an email. You can start a conversation via email. But there is so much expertise on YouTube, untapped, because people just go to YouTube and go live on YouTube. They don't think that they could actually be a guest on a live broadcast. So do look at YouTube as one of the sources for finding guests for your broadcast. Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, this is basically patently obvious, and it works. This is tried and tested. I've done this. Go live and ask for guests. Simple, straightforward. Go live on your profile, go live in your business page, go live in a group, and say you're doing this broadcast this day, this time, and get people interested because they can see you, they know who you are. That's the first thing. They can listen to you talk, they can get an idea of what a live show is going to be like. So just ask. Go live and ask for guests everywhere. Yeah. Go live on Facebook on your profile. Go live on Facebook pages. Go live on YouTube. Go live on Twitter. Yeah. Twitter has, we don't think of Twitter as people sending tweets, but people actually go live on Twitter. I go live on Twitter. Not often enough, but I do go live on Twitter. And I could go live on Twitter. I can ask for guests on my show. In fact, what I'll do is I'll try it out and I'll report back on everything I'm talking about today. If you've got any questions, and I want to say thank you for watching me live. If you've got any questions about what I'm talking about, our topic today is finding guests for your broadcast. And I've just said, go live and ask for guests. Okay, this is a Be Live broadcast, and we're live in Be Live Streamers community. We're live on YouTube, and we're live in the live video sales group run by Be Live. So go live and ask for guests. Speaking of which, I'm looking for guests. I would like to interview you. If you see this video and you would like to be interviewed by me, I do the interviews at 9 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday every week. If you want to talk about, well, I can tell you what I'm going to be asking you. Okay, if we go back up here, what we're going to be talking about is, just let me find it. I know I've got it somewhere. Okay. I've lost it. That's unusual. Okay, just a second. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Just ask, follow them on. I thought I'd written it down. I haven't written it down. I've got a comment. Okay, I've got a comment coming in from Chris. And Chris is saying, I'm on LinkedIn today. Great show. Thank you very much, Chris. Because the viewer numbers from LinkedIn don't show. Thank you. Awesome. Right. Okay. So what you want to know is, okay, and just a reminder, I would like to interview you. I've now found where I should be in my list of things to talk about. Right. Okay. First question for any guest, and you need to, right. Okay. When you're interviewing somebody, you need to have a set of questions that you're going to ask them, and you should give them sight of the questions before the broadcast. What you're trying to do is to get them to tell stories about themselves. Well, that's the first thing. Who are you? Simple question, straightforward. Who are you? And they can tell their stories, and they can go as far back as they want. They can go back to last week, and they can go back to their childhood as far as they want. Who are you? So they can talk about the parents, they can talk about the relatives, they can talk about anything. Who, where are you based, and what are the best things about where you are? So this is basically an opportunity to learn more about where they are in the world. And I interview people from around the globe. So I'm most interested in where people are. Because with live video, it's as if you're in the same room, but you can basically ask where they are. And again, they all tell stories. Next question to ask a guest is, what do you do? Now, this is a multifaceted question. Never ask a question which is yes or no, a closed question. Always ask a question which is open-ended. And basically, in a guess mode, what you're actually trying to do is to get something which you can talk about. So when you say, what do you do? It should be triggering more questions that you're going to ask when they're finished answering. You listen. The point of every guest show should be 2/3 of the time for the guest and 1/3 of the time for you. This is about them. People have come to see them. People can watch you every week, but people have come to see your guests. So you've got to get a proportion right. So you should be listening to your guest. And when they answer the question, what do you do? You should be thinking of other questions that you can take from that, and you can actually continue and just expand the conversation and get them to tell even more stories. This is all about storytelling. Yeah. Right. And then the question that why you brought them on the show in the first place is, how can you help people? How can they share their expertise with us so that it's a win-win situation? How can they help us? Yeah. And again, with these questions, who are you? Where are you based? What do you do? And how can you help people? There are many stories that they could actually tell you, and one of those questions will resonate with them, and they will just go off and they'll start talking, and you carry on listening, and you pick up key words, key phrases that you can actually use to get your next question. From these 4 questions that we've just done, 4 questions, you can create a 30-minute interview quite easily. Just who, where, what, how. Who, where, what, how, and you can create a 30-minute broadcast out of that. If you want to go deeper than that, you obviously be researching your guest before you go live, so you get to know more about them, so that when they do answer this question, you can actually use the information you've learned. Do check out, if you've got a guest, check out the Facebook profile, which might tell you something. Check out the LinkedIn profile, which will tell you something. LinkedIn is the serious bit. We all tend to have a bio on LinkedIn, which actually makes sense. So do check out your guests on LinkedIn. Get the information just the night before. Don't do it any sooner than that. Night before, read up about them, and you'll store that information at least overnight. So when you actually do come live and you're talking to them and they mention something, you say, oh, yes, okay. And if somebody has books, do find out more about the books. If somebody has a live broadcast, go and watch an episode of live broadcast. Do as much preparation as you can. Yeah, that's my last bit. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to rewind. If you've got any questions, then please do ask. I'm just going to run through this quickly again for anybody who's come in late. Okay. Finding guests for your broadcast. The first thing you do on this is decide on the theme of the show. If the show doesn't have a theme and you're actually open to guests from anywhere talking about anything, then all well and good. But generally speaking, successful shows have a theme or a topic. And to invite guests onto the show, they need to know what that theme or topic is. Okay, it's no use asking a mountain climber to talk about gymnastics. Yeah, you've got to have a theme and a topic which is relevant. We talked about why conduct interviews, and this is basically you want to know more about the person, you want to know more about the topic, you have a thirst for knowledge. And the thing about an interview show, if you've got a guest on the show, it means there's 2 of you on the show. And I just explained earlier that if you've got a guest on the show, they should speak for 2/3 of the time, you should speak for 1/3 of the time, which means that in a 30-minute show, you're only speaking for 10 minutes. Go live on your own and you're speaking for full 30 minutes. So it helps you because you're not front and center of camera all the time. Oh, wait a minute, I need to change up again. I've got a two-line sentence. Just give me a second. I'll go here and apply. Okay, you want to discover more about the person you're got on as a guest or persons. You want to know more about them. That's the reason for doing it, is they intrigue you. Something about what they do is of interest to you. You've got your own questions in addition to the who, what, where, and how. You've got your own questions about their areas of expertise, and you could probably list those now. Yeah. So you want to discover more about the person. You also want to discover more about the topic. Having guests is a learning experience for everybody. It's a learning experience for you because you invited the guest and they're talking about a topic that you're interested in, and you're going to learn more about it because they've got a different perspective than you. And as far as your viewers are concerned, actually having more than one person on screen opens up the show for them too, because they're likely, I don't know this is a fact, but they're likely to watch a 2-person show for longer than they would a single person show, no matter how good you are. They will watch for part of the show, and providing you don't look like a Zoom call, the more guests you have, then the more involvement you'll get from your audience. So you want to discover more about the topic your guest knows about. And this is the ideal opportunity. Inviting guests is a way to actually build your network, to keep in touch with people, to become known, liked and trusted for the topics that you're interested in. Okay. Now, I interview people on a variety of topics. I was interested in a tourist guide. I'm interested. New Orleans is an amazing place, and Libby is a tour guide in New Orleans, and I wanted to know more about Libby, more about being a tour guide, and more about New Orleans. And I accomplished all those three when I interviewed Libby Segura last year. Absolutely brilliant, because I learned what I wanted to learn, and I built the network. Libby and I know each other now. Chris and I know each other now because of the interviews. Yeah. Rose and I, Rose Davison and I, who Rose is starting a radio station. Rose and I in Australia know each other because of the interviews. Gospel I've known for years, but we do shows together. And Fonz. Okay. All hosts or co-hosts or guests. And not to forget Marco Novo, a comment from Chris. And Chris is saying, it was an excellent show with Libby. Thank you. It was. I enjoyed it. And that's the beauty of it. You get to learn and get to know people. So discover more about the topic and build your network. Okay. I've made thousands of friends literally around the globe through live video. I've been on BeLive since October 2016. I've been broadcasting since October 2016 on BeLive. I've done over 2,000 live broadcasts. I've lost count. I've met so many people. Yeah. Having guests makes it different. I mean, ostensibly, I've got a show called Blubbing for Britain. Blubbing for Britain isn't just about me. It's about the team of three of us. And tomorrow is episode 334 of Blubbing for Britain. We've been broadcasting together for 6 years, from Peter in Aberdeen, from John in Solihull. And we have a blast each week. We talk about the UK news and we just get on. So that's a multi-person show, and it's me and guests. But in actual fact, it started off as me and guests. It's now become me and co-hosts. We all have an equal say. And that's the way it can work. One of the benefits of actually having a guest show and having a guest on your show is that you, after the broadcast, become friends, get to know each other better, and may then do broadcasts together. So bear that in mind. And the thing that you're doing when you do a guest show is you're actually building your own brand. The expertise of your guest is then connected to you. Okay. And Marco said this quite a lot. Yeah. He knows that people will come to know him as somebody who knows something about the topic his guest was talking about. And the whole key to guests is inviting people to tell their stories. We all love telling stories. We all have stories to tell. So it's an opportunity for people. Now, how do you make contact? How do you find the guests? Remember, I'm going back to the topic of the show now, which is finding guests for your broadcasts. We've covered why you should have guests and the benefits. It's benefit for your guests as well, because they get to know you and they get to meet your audience. They get a new audience for their calls. Now, how to make contact. My good friend, Linda, basically says, just ask. Yeah, it's amazing. I've asked people. I'm not going to mention names here, but I saw somebody 3 or 4 years ago who had an amazing following on Facebook. Every time she went live, thousands of people would come and watch. And I thought, how's this happen? How do you build such a following? I thought, I've got to find out. The only way to find out is to interview her. So I wrote to her And fortunately, she knew who I was because she used the same system as I did, Be Live. I said, I would like to interview you. And she said, yes, surely. She said, what time's your show? I said, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. UK time. Right, brilliant. I'll be there. And she was there. And we arranged to meet at 20 minutes before the show. I didn't think she'd ever come to be interviewed, but she was there 20 minutes before the show. And then I discovered that I assumed that she was in a different country, but she was actually in the USA, and she had woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be on my show at 5 o'clock in the morning. And if I hadn't asked, it just wouldn't have taken place. So, as Linda West says, the way to find a guest is just ask. All right. Now, if you're doing this from scratch and you, this particular person you want to have as a guest, then this process will work. First of all, they've got to know about you. So you want to follow them on social media and follow them on their busiest network. If their busiest network is LinkedIn, connect on LinkedIn. If their busiest network is Facebook, connect on Facebook. But do follow them so you've got some connection. Asking somebody you're not connected to is a lot harder than asking somebody you are connected to. In order for them to become aware of you, you have to comment on their social media posts and comment wisely and ask questions and become known. And this is one of the keys to getting people on your show you never thought in a million years would be guests on your show, is to become known to them. Ask questions, make comments, reply to comments, become involved. For a couple of weeks at least, run a campaign of getting to know them. Yeah, some people are just worth the extra work. Right, okay, now your first port of call when you want guests is your friends. Your friends are close to you, they know who you are, you don't have any hurdles, you know what their expertise is, you know what they can talk about, you know what they're happy talking about. Invite your friends to be a guest on your show. The worst thing they can do is say no. In which case, you ask them, do you know of anybody who might like to be a guest on my show? So friends of friends. And that's the next logical step after asking your friends. Then go to your own personal profile, go to your contacts and just go down. And the people you talk to most will be at the top of the list. That's the way Facebook does it. People you've never talked to will be at the bottom of the list. And if you've got 5,000 friends, it might take a while to get to the bottom of the list. But as you're going through the list, it will remind you who people are. And you may find people in your contacts on Facebook who have the expertise that you want to share on your broadcast. And as we just said, just ask. These people are contacts. Now, just a word on that. People are contacts might not necessarily know who you are. So take it step by step. Say hello, how are you? Get a conversation going, and then say, okay, by the way, I've got a show on such and such a day, such a time. I would love you to join me. Okay, conversation first, then ask. Any of your contacts on Facebook should respond. Facebook groups. The benefit of Facebook group is that you join a group because you like the topic. Not only do you join the group because you like the topic, everybody who's in the group likes the topic that you do. So you have that in common to start with. Again, if you're going to start asking people in the group to be your guests, become active in the group. It's no use being a member of a group and just reading. Nobody knows you're there. If you don't comment, you don't like, and you don't ask questions, as far as people in the group are concerned, you're watching and not taking part. You need to be active in the group if you're going to ask somebody for an interview. And again, pick your person and then write to them on Messenger and ask them. Okay. If you know the admins of the group, yeah, then what you can do is ask permission to go live in the group and ask for guests for your show, which is about such and such a topic, such and such a day, such and such a time. That's groups. You could also, because I haven't listed this, we've all got business pages. You can go live on your business page and ask the question, or you could put a Canva image there and ask anybody like to be a guest, or you could go live and say, would you like to be a guest? So your Facebook page, people have followed you. Okay, so they are interested in what you do. So if you ask the question on your own Facebook pages, would you like to be a guest on my show? Now, just a thing, if you put a general invitation out like that, you may get people who say, yes, I'll be a guest. And then you go and check them out afterwards and you say, okay. When you go, you just make a note that you never want to interview this person. You can't interview them now. Just then write them and explain, say, thank you. Basically, I'm just doing this session. It's going to last for 10, 13 weeks. I'll be doing another session later in the year. I may be in touch. Okay. So not total brush off, but being honest. So you do use your own Facebook pages to advertise the fact that you are looking for guests. Now, if you're very brave and you wish to do so, you could actually do a sponsored post on Facebook and get people around the globe who you won't know to actually apply. But that's once you've got a series going, then you can put out a general call for guests on your page with a paid advertisement and get people around the globe, people you don't know. Who knows what will happen? Twitter. Again, there are Twitter chats which take place every weekday. There is a page with a list of Twitter chats. To get involved, do join a Twitter chat, answer questions, ask questions, retweet, get involved. And if you find somebody in the chat who you'd like to interview, just reach out to them and ask. But do a couple of chats to become known. It's difficult. Well, I could never do cold calling. I'll tell you, pick up a phone and ring a stranger. You need to get from cold to sort of warmish before you actually approach anybody. So make sure that they know you, make sure that you've been mentioned. But Twitter is a good place. And we said also YouTube. Now, YouTube, people go to watch video. It's also where we go when we've got the question, how do I? And that's where people go to get their questions answered. And that means it's a great resource because you can search for your topic and you can find videos by people who speak about your topic, because Google, YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, and it will do the work for you. It will give you a list of people who speak about your topic. Next step is for them to get to know you. So comment on their videos, ask them questions, watch them live, get involved. So that when you make the approach, I loved your YouTube videos. What I would like to do, because I'm running this series on my topic, the day and the time, would like to join me. Okay, the worst that can happen is they say no. They could say yes. So YouTube is a great resource of expertise, and it's so simple and straightforward to do. Okay, next. Yeah, as I say, go live and ask for guests. Go live on your Facebook page, your Facebook profile, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. Go live everywhere and ask for guests. If you get swamped, you've always got a second season. And that's another thing. When you're doing interviews, I would never go and do 52 weekly interviews one after the other. I would do groups of 10. 10 weeks, a break, 10 weeks, a break, 10 weeks, a break. Yeah. But do go live and ask for guests. Okay. And when you do go live and ask for guests, say the immortal words, I would like to interview you. And if you're watching me live now, I would like to interview you. And that's all you need to do, is to go live, talk about your topic, get people interested, draw like minds together, and just say to people, I would like to interview you. Yeah, be a guest. And I think, yeah. And the questions to ask a guest, because it's if you, what you don't want to do is ask a guest and then be totally tongue-tied. And when Chris and I did our first broadcast together, and I interviewed Chris sent me the questions and organized the broadcast, which is brilliant. But the first question to ask every guest is, who are you? Which they will either answer in the current, where they are now, or they will go back to their college years or their school years, and they will talk about who they are, telling stories. And you can jump in, not jump, but you know what I mean? You can pop in and you can talk, drag out the topic. Next question, where are you based and what are the best things about where you are? This is a question I asked Mr. Grant Saunders when I interviewed him a couple of weeks back, and he gave me some places to actually visit. The next question, this is key to the interview or guest experience, is what do you do? So who, where, what, and how? How can you help people? Because everybody goes live with a reason. Yeah. And the reason is they want to reach out to a new audience, your audience, tell their stories, get people to know, like, and trust them in order they can take them back to their own broadcasts. So it's a virtuous circle, interviewing people, because if you interview people, it's quite possible that they will want to interview you. And if they're a guest on your show, you can be a guest on their show if asked. Which brings me to the next. I did ask Grant to be a guest on my show. He said yes. And we spent 30, 40 minutes talking about what Grant does. And live broadcasting was in there somewhere. Same with Adair. Adair and I have known each other for 7 years since we started with Be Live. So we've got 7 years that we've shared in live video and in life as well. And as I said, if you invite somebody to be a guest on your show, they will invite you to be a guest on theirs. Speaking of which, I'm on Be Live tomorrow on the main Be Live page at 12 p.m. Eastern with Mr. Grant Saunders, who's interviewing me about broadcasting in Amazon Live. So I'm looking forward to that. So the next broadcast is 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK. Grant Saunders with his guest, Steven Healey. That's me. I'm looking forward to it. It's always great when Grant and I get together. Thank you for watching me live today. Chris, thank you for the support and the comments. To everybody who's watched this broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. This has been Steven, live on Be Live, talking about finding guests for your broadcasts. And, oh, I've got a comment. Comment from David. Right. Yes, get stuck in, David. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for the comment. David's watching on Facebook. And that's it. Okay, if you want to get known, don't just read. Actually say something like David, and you'll then get featured in the recording. Okay, so David's picture is there forever now, because this video will be on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thank you, David. So enjoy the rest of your day. This has been Steven live from wonderful Wiltshire in England, where we're looking forward through a sunny week. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. is Blabbing for Britain, episode 334. And at 5 o'clock tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, I'm live with Grant Saunders. Until then, thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon.